All right, in this podcast, I sit with Ana Trelles, our operations manager in Ronival Property Management. We talk about the hurricane season. Did you know May 15th to November 30th is our hurricane season? What do you need to do as a property owner or future property owner to make sure your property is safe? Take a listen. So what are we talking about today, Ana?
Hurricanes, I believe so.
Hurricane season. I mean, we're about to enter into May. And
Yes.
May is still very pleasant weather here. It doesn't rain. But technically speaking, you were just mentioning that hurricane season starts when?
May 15th.
Do you know if we've ever had hurricanes as early as May or June?
I don't know historically, like at least in the past 10 years, not hurricanes, but yes, storm and storm alerts starting late May.
Okay. And why is it important for us to be talking about hurricane season here in Cabo?
We're on, right?
We're running. Anna. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're in a very active season, area for hurricane. We're right on the coast, and everywhere when you're on the coast, you're subject to natural disasters and the nature. Yeah. So we've through history, we have very few rain in Cabo. That's one of the things that makes it an amazing place. Very few days of rain, unless there's a storm close by. We usually are never monitoring rain. Actually, whenever there's a rainy day and there's not a storm, it's super weird, even cloudy days. That's why it makes amazing Cabo, because we're always having sunny days. However, the hurricane season needs to be watched for. We've had in the past 10 years a series of events that have alerted the area. Since Odile in 2014, we became very alert of what hurricanes could impact. And then last year with Otis in Acapulco, that was a Category 5 hurricane. So it's something that we need to prevent and take care. Our job as property management is to take care of our properties, of the owner's investment here in the area. So we definitely need to make sure that everything is kept as its best and protect them. So throughout the hurricane season, we need to prepare the properties and do everything to safeguard them as best as we can.
So when you say safeguard and protect the houses, what are some of the things that property managers do, and even homeowners that are listening that don't have property managers or a property manager to manage their property? What can they be doing in preparation?
So there are several things, or many things. So the first one would be we strongly recommend for the properties to have home insurance. I honestly get surprised when owners say I don't think it's necessary. Well, I think it's a cost that you bear in your investment, but you definitely should have a home insurance, because you have an investment in an area like what we were talking about, and nature's totally unpredictable. So that's one. And then what we do, how do we do it? We have a plan and a team that works on preparing the homes during the season. It depends on the property, the type of amenities the property has, the structure, how exposed it is, if it has a lot of windows, or if not, the orientation of the home, if it's let's say in an area that has other construction nearby, or it's just wide open towards the ocean and not having anything up front. So it depends a lot on that. Each property has different features and characteristics. So we have a list of things that we start doing since the 1st of May. Mm-hmm. So our preparation includes from evaluating the property, giving maintenance to hurricane protections when they have it, making sure everything is working properly, because it's usually things that you haven't used for at least 6-8 months or probably a year. So you want to make sure that they're running properly for the moment you need them.
Like if you have automated hurricane shutters that they go up and down.
Exactly.
That you don't have missing hurricane shutters if they're manual.
Exactly. That the bolts are correct. This is a place, because of the conditions, we get a lot of salinity. So sometimes the bolts that secure the hurricane protections when they're like fabric or they're like panels. No, they have like
oxidation.
Yes, oxidation, rust, or they make it complicated. So that when it gets a time that you want to place them, they're like, oh, I can't get it out or I can't put it in. So you're in trouble when you have a hurricane right on your back. So it's all about preventing and having in place and having the team to be able to respond at a time. So how we do it is we start, we have like in our systems, we have like all the characteristics of the properties, which ones require what type of attention. So from the beginning, right now we're in the process, like we already started to check what properties and scheduling the maintenance for the hurricane protections for the ones that have it. And then in mid-May, we'll start with the like the first phase. We kind of divide it in 3 phases. The one is that the preventive, or the one that we can do in every property starting the season. And then once we start getting some type of rain, and then definitely the first one, which is in a high alert of a hurricane or a storm coming close. So the first one is just getting all the drains clear, checking for waterproofing in all the properties to make sure. That's always also one that we are already doing, because in order to waterproof, you need to have enough time before the rain season. So checking that the waterproofing is correct, that you have all your drains and the gargoyles in the roofs and also in the outside yards, everything properly. That in your, for example, equipment rooms or machine rooms for pools, etc., that you have the equipment set up in a way that you have proper drains and that if it won't get flooded, things like that, like kind of the characteristics that you have in each property. If we will need any sand sacks, for example, depending if you have a place that there you have the way the street runs, or that you may get like that water into your house. So those kind of things, we start getting ahead of time to be able to set it.
So that's phase 1. And then what will be phase 2?
So phase 2 is to start actually preparing the home. So we manage currently around 100 properties, between condos of 2 bedrooms, 2 or 3 bedroom condos to 7 bedroom villas. So the type of preparation for each one is very different. So in the ones that we are able to do it as of May 15th, that we won't have any owners in town, right, that we don't have occupation for the next 2 to 3 months, we start working on the things that we can. The houses are, for example, we manage properties that are strictly owner use, and they use it on a seasonal way. So they come from, let's say, October through May and then leave and don't come back. So those ones are the easiest because we can prepare them way ahead. Those ones, we close the houses. We do all the checklist, which includes like moving all the furniture inside, disconnecting and also storing like any outside fans or like sound systems, things that can get TVs, like decoration, TVs, etc. Those kind of things. We just store them, secure them, and we just leave security cameras out. And then close the house, close shutters, everything. If we have, for example, curtains, we pull them up. So in case water comes in, it won't come out. When we're able to, we pull the curtains up, and we're not, we back them, we put them in plastic protections. Yes. We also roll, depending on the area. And we know the houses that we've known for several years, we kind of know how the property will behave. Yeah. So when we roll up the carpets when possible and put them up. So those kind of things. Remove furniture away from the walls, because when you start getting humidity and having the furniture against the walls creates a perfect space for mold to come. So all those kind of things we start doing. And those are the things that we also will do for properties, for all of the properties when we have an imminent hurricane. Yeah. The difference is that we have to do it in less than 72 hours. Yeah. So that puts us in a lot of pressure. And that's when it is very important that you have, and we have a team that you can rely on, that you can support.
So with our inventory, what percentage of the 100 homes would you say are right now through hurricane season, owners are not going to be occupying, or renters?
Unfortunately, very few.
Very few. So you're doing a lot.
So about 20, yes, okay. About 20% of our properties. So the other 80, We check, for example, for owners that are not seasonal, that come here now and then, we check with them, like what's their schedule.
Sure.
And if they don't have anything planned to come like through the summer, we will close. And if they have some trip, then we will talk to them and see. Because when sometimes owners resist a bit because they don't want to, it's a cost to do everything, to set up the houses. Sometimes depending on the hurricane protections, for example, hurricane protections can be automatic, which are amazing because you can even use them as sunshade. You have the accordion ones that you just pull through the rails, and they're always there. They're very easy to close. They also require maintenance to make sure that they're pulling together and closing correctly. You have the panel ones that those are a bit complicated to put because you have the rails, but they're big panels, aluminum panels that you have to secure. Yep. And then you have the fabric ones. Mm-hmm. So the two last ones are the more complicated to install and require more time. And they also require like someone to come and install it. We have the maintenance teams that does that. But when we have a hurricane alert, we cannot we have a certain capacity. No, so we try. So sometimes owners want to wait until the last minute because they don't want to incur in that expense that can go. It could be between $200 to $500 depending on the property, for example, to install the shutter. So they say let's wait till the last to see because there's no certainty in this. We've had many times where you see the hurricane heading just towards here and then it diverts. And we didn't get it, no? And sometimes you see that it's going like this and we don't know what to do. We don't know to prepare the houses because sometimes it even implies canceling guests, saying owners don't even come, things like that. And we're not weather experts, but we try our purpose is safety for the people, first of all, and then the properties.
Sure. And even though weather experts don't get it right.
Yes, exactly. We track all this, the National Hurricane Center, the Servicio Meteorológico Nacional, Windy and Hurricane Tracker, and we have Francisco, who's our operations coordinator. We make fun of him. Sorry for this. But we can say he turns into the weather gal during the season because he has to report every day from May 15th through last of November, how the weather is doing and if we're expecting anything within the next week.
I know the general structure of our property management team, but there are many departments and people involved. Can you tell me a little bit, give me an update, what are the departments and how many people in each department to handle that kind of work?
Okay, so the 4 divisions that we have within property management is operations, which is a team that I lead. And then we have vacation rental, and we have projects, and we have management. So basically all get involved in any way when we have a imminent event, no? But in the operation side, we are the ones responsible for preparing the homes and following up that everything is communicating with owners. So we have 4 property managers, and we have an assistant in our team as well. And we have 6 operation supervisors who are the people that are on the grounds. They work directly, they're assigned by area. So we have someone that's assigned to Pedregal and Quivira, someone that's assigned to San Jose, to Tesal, so that all around. Sure. And they're the one on the ground. They're the ones that go with to do the final inspections, to do the preparations with the maintenance, that bring maintenance. And this is all that you need to do. And they report directly and work hand in hand with the property manager, who's the one that oversees and says, okay, this house, don't forget, this is what we need to do. And we have a list for the house that we've already managed by system. We use our amazing operation system that I love, and I can't remember how we did it before that. Because it has all the details of this is exactly what we need to do and what we need to prepare by each house. Good. So, and it also is super efficient to do the reports for after storms, because whenever we have a storm, that's one of the, I think, very good things that we do for our owners. Even if we get 2-hour rain, even if it's not a hurricane and we had just 2 hours of rain, we make inspections to the properties and send them a report immediately. So that's done by our operations team in hand with our property management team.
And that's all
a lot of that's done through our system, right? That is able to push that information out with the photos and things like that.
Exactly. So what they do is like for example, previous to the storm, we assign the property manager assigns like a preparation inspection or task for all of the properties and make sure it is completed, make sure it's like that checks the photos, checks out any observation, like don't forget to disconnect this, to put this in separate place, etc. And then once the storm passes or the rain passes, what we do is like our commitment is to inspect all of the properties within 48 hours of any storm once we're able to go out. What everyone needs to bear in mind that after a strong hurricane or a hurricane that has impact in the area, not always we can go out. Like we have a lot of dirt streets, we have a lot of arroyos still, so a lot of water that cut through the area. So our team is not able to go out safely. So once we're able to go safely, our commitment is to inspect all the properties within 48 hours. And usually it's done within 24 because all of the team goes out. Property managers, operations supervisors, and even if we needed it, the accounting team is always said, like, if you need something, we'll go out. So our commitment is to be able to report back to our owners as fast as we can.
Well, I remember even up until a few years ago, I was
inspecting houses
with my truck, at least moving things around, because sometimes in 2017 with Lydia, there was areas you couldn't get across.
A lot of them, and for many days, not even not I guess around 5 to 6 days, we couldn't even pass because of the water.
Right. Or sand that was, making the roads undrivable.
Exactly. So, and what we do, for example, we have a large team. So what we do is even if the people is assigned to by areas usually, but for example, we divide the keys to the houses, to the ones that we don't have electronic locks. And even for the ones we divide the keys to the houses. And this is in the case of a major hurricane approaching or coming. So we have a different protocol when this happens. Is like, there are additional things that need to be prepared. Like, let's say we take all the like, make sure everyone has cash for expenses. Let's say that make sure we all have the keys that are not in the office. We all divide the keys to have them to the people that lives closest to the properties that we manage. So that way we try to make sure that even if it's not your house and anything, like, you will be able to go in and check that everything is okay. Right. So we prepare for the worst because after several phenomenons, like, we kind of know what we need to prepare for.
Another thing that was interesting in talking with Rocio, you guys do that initial 48-hour inspection, but then in a heavy rain or hurricane, you go back to the property also, because a lot of times after 48 hours, you don't see the problems.
Exactly. So we go out and inspect within 48 hours, and within 24 hours of that, the owners will receive their report. So they will know very, very fast what's going on. And then we always say, like, okay, this is a report. You can see photos of your property. Everything is okay. However, we will go back to a second storm inspection within a week because a lot of times humidity pops out whenever, like, when you didn't see it, or a lot of humidity is like water is sometimes just like trapped and you don't see it the first time. And then next time you come back and you say, like, whoa, what's going on? So we do, like, during that time, it's like we have to perform like 100 inspections within a week and then another 100 within the next week in a very fast manner, and totally focused on humidity, water filtrations, like storm damages.
That's the least favorite part of the job, I imagine.
Yes, I can't say that I am excited, that I'm looking forward to it. It is stressful. Yeah. It is stressful because there's a lot of things to prepare. Sometimes, for example, when we have guests, sometimes, like, we try, and that's like when I say, like, we work hand in hand with all departments. When we have guests, for example, during the season, and like 65% of our properties are vacation rentals. So it's very likely that we will have guests throughout the season. And we try not to have guests like in a strong hurricane. So last year, for example, we had Norma. It approached, it hit Cabo, it passed through Cabo as a Category 1. It was expected to be even stronger. So we tried, we start a communication as soon as we see that it is something with high probability, because as we were saying, there's nothing for sure. So we advise guests to start tracking for the forecast and to start being alert of any airline changes, of any potential changes. No one's going to have a fun time experiencing a hurricane here. Right. So we tried, but people don't realize that.
Well, some people actually enjoy it. They're like, oh, a hurricane,
no.
party. Don't bring down, don't put the shutters up, leave it. We're going to have a party. We're going to, and that's when it gets dangerous.
Yes, it gets dangerous. It gets crazy because people can't, if you haven't been to a natural disaster, a hurricane, it's difficult to imagine or to mention how bad it can get. Mm-hmm. But then when they, obviously we run out of power, sometimes for safety, the power company even cuts the electricity in advance. Mm-hmm. So even if it's not been a total disaster, you will be without electricity, with power, which means you will be without water because all of the houses run with pumps for water. Some of them have generators, but not all of them. It's a huge investment for the owners to have generators in all of the properties. So it's not a hotel. Yeah. So it becomes complicated. Then you can't go out. Then the water will be murky for many days. You can't get into the ocean. The pool will be so dirty. So when we tell you, please consider postponing your trip, and we will do everything for the guests. We will we will be very flexible with cancellation policies. Mm-hmm. We will be, if they, for example, cut their stay short, we will make refunds. We will change their dates because it's a safety hazard for the guest, for the house, mm-hmm. and for us. Yeah. Because the guest won't have a nice time. It can be a safety hazard for them. It can be a safety hazard for the house because if they're there and they decide to open the hurricane protections even though we close them, then it's a risk for the property, and there's no way we can manage that. And then it's a risk for our team because then we have guests asking or wanting or having needs, and then our team cannot even get out of the house. So yeah, that part becomes, but we've become very good managing throughout the years. We have a very strong process. Mm-hmm. For example, with a lot of the full communication with our vacation rental team. So, okay, this is the people that we have in house or that's be coming through the next week. These are the messages we need to send. Are we wanting to persuade them or just to alert them? Right. So there's an alert and then there's a persuade stage. No? So all of those things, I think the experience, even though I'm not excited about because it's a very stressful period, I feel very confident on the experience that we've gained through the past years and the protocols and process. All of our team, most of our team, I guess, all of them except one or two, have been through hurricane seasons with us. So they know the drill. They know what to do. They know how to respond.
How many years has it been that you've been working at Ronival?
It's going to be 7.
7 years?
Yes.
And you come from the hospital industry, right?
Yes.
So hurricane season is kind of like the ER room. Right?
A little bit, yes.
Natural disasters, chaos, a lot of fast thinking, a lot of stress.
Responding,
right.
Yes. Preparing as much as you can and then responding.
What's phase 3 in the process? You said that there were 3 phases, right?
Yeah. So the first one, the phase 3 is then just closing full closure of everything in case we have guests that didn't go or weren't able to go or whatever. Because sometimes it approaches faster. We making sure they have flashlights, that they have water, a drinkable water, at least making sure we bring them huge jugs of water for them to have for a few days, at least. And then closing and making a third inspection to make sure that everything is closed and secured.
So in a couple of weeks, hurricane season technically starts. Mm-hmm. When does it end?
November 30th.
So that's 6 months.
That's 6
So technically 6 months is, and
the most active period here has been August and September. However, last year Norma was October 22nd. So let's say August, September. Odile was September. Sorry, Lydia was late August. normal last year was October. So yeah, between August, September, and October.
So we're not safe until U.S. Thanksgiving.
Basically. Yes, almost. Like we usually start removing, for example, opening homes owners that come seasonal can start coming late October. So usually that period we start removing hurricane protections and removing, let's say, what we do, for example, properties that have the fabric protections that will have occupation is we set them and then we roll them up and down as necessary, which is like half of the work. So by the October, we just remove them and store them. So we start going a little bit back to normal. And this year we're expecting a season with higher activity.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
So because of La Nina, I don't know, is there a translation for that?
No, that's what.
That's La Nina phenomenon. Okay, so last year we had forecast of 36 storms in between Pacific and Atlantic. I'm gonna downgrade it, so it's that's a forecast. Pacific and Atlantic, and for this year is 43. Okay. So from 36 to 43, that's it. And then from there, that's last year the forecast for Pacific only was between 16 and 22, and we had 17.
Okay. So we have 20% more potentially forecasted this season.
And then from whatever is forecast we had from those 17, they're divided basically on 3. They're like tropical storms, category 1 and 2, and then major, there's category 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so I don't believe the official forecast of specifically what's the prediction for each one of this is. I don't believe we have it yet. But we have a higher number in general. And from all of these, fortunately, not all of them are storms that will approach land. Many of them, it doesn't mean that we had 8 major hurricanes approaching land. Maybe 5 were further into the ocean, into the Pacific, but still having 1 or 2 is a concern.
Well, Ana, thanks for joining us and explaining hurricane season, property preparation. I think this is very useful for homeowners and future homeowners to consider when they buy a place, when they own a place, and good luck this season.
Thank you very much.
And everyone, if you want more information about property management, hurricane preparation, Ana is the person in Ronival Property Management to contact. And until the next one, bye for now.
Bye for now. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronival Real Estate. And follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronival. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at Ronival.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.